Yes, indeed! Big Brother Bear here to give you all that you want and what you need. And today, we're going to tell you how to read the defense.
Hoop loud.
Listen, I tried to be creative with coming up with a title for this video because I knew if I put read to achieve or read a book or something like that, you jokers would have been like, Bill tripping. I ain't clicking on this. So yes, I tried to infuse something that was crafty into my title. But don't go just yet. Hear me out. When I say defense, I'm meaning defense meaning procrastination in class. Defense meaning tackling subject matter that you're not familiar with, or defense meaning meeting deadlines. What I'm talking to you about is reading, the importance of reading. The single most important thing that will help you both in high school and in college academically is being well read. Committing to a diet of reading on a regular basis is something that I want to encourage you to do because that's not something I was doing when I was in school. I didn't read my first book, book. I ain't talking about no doggone Cat in the Hat. I'm talking about a real book with some value. 300-page, 400-page book. I didn't read that book. I was actually a junior in college when I read my first real book. That's not something I'm proud of, but it's something that I know that other people share. Now you may already have it together. You may already read books on a regular basis, come from a well-read family and all, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then this video is not for you. Recommend it to somebody else. But some of you will struggle in high school and will struggle in college, mainly because you just don't read enough. I want to encourage you, much like my college professor encouraged me, because when I look back at it, I didn't start playing basketball until going into my 9th grade. So if you've seen any of my videos, you know that before 9th grade, I was a horrible student. I mean, horrible student. I was that type of guy in the classroom that your parents didn't want you to sit next to type of student. I was a class clown. I was doing whatever I needed to do to keep people laughing and playing around. This is before I had basketball. I had no incentive to actually take school seriously. I got punished when I got home, but that was only after report cards came out. I became a professional on getting out of reading when I was a kid. We had accelerated reader points and whatnot. I make friends with the people that actually read those books so they can answer my questions, so I can get the points and go shopping in the bookstore and all that stuff. Coming from where I came from before basketball, I failed the 6th grade. I got socially promoted from the 8th grade to the 9th grade. I got put in special education classes. They want to dope me up on every medicine known to man because I couldn't sit still. I wouldn't sit still. It wasn't that I couldn't. I wouldn't sit still. And they just knew something was wrong with me. There wasn't nothing wrong with me. I just didn't have a passion to be in the classroom. But once I played basketball in 9th grade, everything changed. Everything changed. And then when I got to 9th grade, I still did just enough to stay eligible. I did just enough to get by, just enough so I could stay on the basketball team. Fast forward to my junior year in college, I met a professor, Dr. Phillips, my speech communication professor, who challenged me to read a book. Right? He gave me a book out of his office. He had me read it, and it changed my life. It changed my life because I realized there was information out there that I was missing. So how does that relate to this channel, and why am I even bringing this up to you? Today I'm launching my book review launch. Okay. Now all my content on this channel is going to be just about books. No. But if you looked at my last video about closing down my channel, I'm closing down the channel based off how it used to be. It needs to have some academia to it as well. Yes, we're going to tell you about how to make the basketball team. But yes, I want you to worry about classroom as well. Yes, we want to worry about getting you some more minutes. But yes, we need to give you some more study habits as well. Yes, we want to get you the MVP of the world cred. But yes, we want to make sure to feed your family after your eligibility has exhausted. When I was in college, I used to peep game as far as what everybody else is doing. Why am I struggling to stay afloat in these classes while some of these other people are struggling? Now, it's a number of reasons. Some of them have better backgrounds in those classes. Some of them are just smarter. Some of them have better test-taking skills. Some of them are studied. There's a lot of different components. But what I realize is this. People that are well-read, when they get to a class, they don't have to read the material over and over and over again to retain the information, because when they read it, it makes sense the first and second time they read it. Whereas somebody like me that that didn't have an adequate diet of reading at an early age, man, I'm reading stuff 3, 4, 5 times. Then I got to ask questions and read it some more. I'm wasting time, right? So now I'm staying up later. Now it's taking me longer to retain information. Now I get frustrated. Now I'm like, what the heck? I don't want to study. If I would have had a steady diet of reading at an early age, I could have done that in a fraction of the time. But again, why is this important to you? It's important to you because this channel, the very premise of this channel is for you to learn from other people's mistakes so you don't have to go through it yourself. To be a graduate. When we talk about our mascot, the giraffe, having that aerial perspective, but having your feet flat on the ground, right? So that means you can look down and you can see other people's mistakes and not make those mistakes. How do we see those other mistakes? Well, you can learn from my story. That's great. But I want to interview other people as well. But aside from that, I want to highlight some of the books that some of these individuals have read. Books like the first book I read. I need to do another review on this book because I feel like I could have done Shannon Bobbitt a better book review. But this book was Shannon Bobbitt. She plays in the WNBA, played for the legendary Pat Summitt, Tennessee Volunteer, played at Tennessee. Amazing, amazing book. This is a great book to have. Undersized, against all odds, made something out of nothing. I remember watching her play back when she's like 5'2". Back when she was on Ball Above All. She was amazing. I did a book review on this. I need to do another one, better one. But this is a great book. But all the things that she went through, all the stumbling blocks she went through, guess what? You get that in this book. You get that in this book. You don't have to go through, and you don't have to go through the same pothole she went through. You can learn from her mistakes. You can learn from her mistakes and add it to your game and be that much better. Another classic one that I read was Jason Williams' book. Another classic I've read is Jason Williams or Jay Williams' book, Life is Not an Accident. This book is a phenomenal book. Transparent, doesn't sugarcoat, flour, anything around, goes straight to the gut of it. This guy played at Duke. I remember watching this guy play. Like, listen, by far the best point guard that I've seen in the college game to this day. By far. By far. What he was able to do with the ball. And here's the thing that I learned about this book here is when he came from Jersey to come play for Coach K at Duke, he didn't play point guard in high school. He didn't play point guard in high school. So a lot of you are like, man, Coach got me playing out of position. This is not even my true position. But that's the best position that you need to be on for that particular team to win. Same thing with Jay Williams. Jay Williams did not play natural point when he was in high school. But he was one of the best that's ever put on a jersey at Duke at the point guard position, and that wasn't his natural position. In this book, he talks about his accident, and then one thing he talks about beyond that is how he was able to recover. Then he talks about a dark time in his life and not being identified with the game of basketball anymore, not being identified, going into a stadium that just months before they recognized him as being that dude. And then getting in an accident, going back into that same stadium, and they're looking at the next best thing. They're looking at, oh, well, he's old news. Who else? Some people didn't even recognize him. Some people didn't even acknowledge him. How'd that have to feel, right? So my thing is, for me, what you can take away from this book is realizing that your eligibility is going to be up one day. Your eligibility, you're not going to be always known as the basketball player. I was known as a basketball player when I was in high school and college. They don't look at me like that anymore. I'm not the one putting on the sticks. But what he was able to do, what Jay was able to do, that a lot of student athletes are not able to do, and a lot of even NBA athletes are able to do, is to transition. So now he was one of the best point guards that we've seen in the game of basketball. Now he's one of the best commentators. Those skills translate. And he talks a lot about that in this book. A lot of people just say, oh, well, if you just work hard, then everything will happen to you. What about when life comes into place? What about when those variables you can't really predict happen? What about when life happens? Life is not an accident. Pick up this book. This book was amazing. If a book is not amazing, I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want to get any bad flack about the book. People saying, well, Bill, he's hating. I'm only mentioning the very best. Check out this book by Jay Williams, and then check out his new hit YouTube special is going to be called Best Shot. And last but not least, this book is the one that I'm reading now. It's by Keyon Dooling. Keyon Dooling, wow. This is the first book. I mean, Jay touched on it a little bit with his book, but this book here, he really touched on it as far as mental health. Mental health is a big thing. So Keyon talks a little bit about, you know, what's happened to him in his childhood and bouncing back from that, feeling like it was his fault, feeling like there was a stigma that he shouldn't talk about it, and then just say, forget it. I'm going to talk about this thing so I can free other people, and, you know, and how to balance that and how to be a leader in the NBA. Going through that, dealing with all that baggage and going through that. This guy's a phenomenal speaker. I know he's done some things for high school players camp. I've seen him do some things there. A phenomenal speaker. I would love to interview him and interview everyone that I do book reviews on. But great book. Read this book and really add it to your game. My fear for some of you is that you'll make the same mistakes that other people's made only because you won't pick up a book. Only because you won't actually read somebody else's story. Only because you won't come to this YouTube channel every week and listen to the interviews that I have, that I put out from individuals. You learn stories that you can apply to your life from my interviews. You learn stories from my own story. You learn stories from book reviews that I do. I'm trying to give you the game, man. I'm trying to give you the game. So when you get out there, whether it's in high school or whether it's college, you can't say that Bill didn't tell me this. I didn't know this was coming. Because I found out that people that have bigger brothers or bigger sisters that went through it before they went through it and kind of put them on game before they go through it, they are so much more effective, so much more efficient, so much more impactful, and put them up on game. So that's what I'm doing for you. For free, player. For free. This thing is much bigger than Big Brother Bell. This thing is much bigger than my own story. Though my story is impactful, though my story can be inspiring. I mean, you check out my story. Listen, from a kid that failed the 6th grade, from all the academic problems that I went through when I was in school, to, you know, having both of my parents, my redshirt freshman year, to having both of my parents pass away of cancer before I became a sophomore in college, and having the game of basketball kind of take me across troubled waters and allowed me to get my school paid for. That's a story by itself. But is it the best story? No. Nobody has the best story. It's my job to bring the best story to you, so your time in high school and college or whenever will be that much more enriching and that much more impactful because you learn from all our mistakes, right? That's what I'm doing. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any books that you want me to read or you want me to do a review on, put them in the comments and we're going to get to them. If you have any favorite books, let me know. A lot of these books, I may take some quotes out of the books and things like that I'll tell you about, or I may just do a whole review of the book entirely. But it's all to better you. So as always, whether it's on the court or in the classroom or out, graduate at the top of your class. Hoop loud.